Well, hello, and we are back. We're back. So, during the last stream, we tested Gideon's. We're gonna just replace those with farmer markets. One thing that I'm doing for the first time in ages is we've went down to three approaches. It seems like everybody lately is playing three approaches, and I don't know if that's correct, but I do want to give it a try. We also shaved one meltdown. One of the Star City decks had one meltdown, and I really only want meltdowns for mono red. I probably wouldn't have this card in my deck if it wasn't for mono red. So I guess we'll try with just three. I'm assuming that we're still just weak versus mono red, and I'm quickly coming to the conclusion that I think I'm willing just to scoop the mono red decks. Like, we might be cutting the authority of the councils out of the sideboard and everything and just deciding that we're jumping through way too many hoops to try to make a marginal match slightly less marginal, but still bad. I don't know. We are 4-3 versus mono red. We're 25-6 overall, but eh, we're just not happy anytime we get paired versus mono red. We know we're in a tough match, and we know that we typically don't win any of those matches unless we're on the play. So I don't know if I'll be doing the entire 5 matches today. It depends on how long they're taking and things. I have a few other things I would like to do this morning, but and we're playing versus a first time player, so he's clearly a mono red player, I'm sure. We're gonna keep this hand. It's super slow, but we have the best card in our deck. It's the best card in our deck in every single match that isn't a pure aggro match. And the first time player leads with a Guru Land into their best card. Seems like we're already going to get to test out this farm market. Might be able to get us a little Lone Tusk Cub or something with it. Oh, wow, that's wonderful. He didn't have a turn 2 play. So if he didn't have a turn 2 play, we can either A, play the Censor this turn, or B, just go ahead and get the value in play. Since we have the Fumigate, I think I would rather just get the value search in play. Oh, wow, they have Spell Pierces. Okay. Well, that's good to know. It's also surprising. I did not expect that. Did not expect the main deck uh, Spell Pierce from a deck that's already kind of finicky. So that's a nice one. They got another 4, so there's just a blue-green deck. Oh, maybe a blue-green deck. Maybe they're playing that Sultai deck? Like the Tan and Grace build that had one little main deck duder. Well, if they're going all in on the Cub, that probably means they have another counterspell. And if they're loaded up with counterspells, if there's some little aggro control deck, we're not going to beat them. That is by far even a worse match than Mono Red. He just neglected to play any type of spell there. but he did F6, so I guess we'll put this on top and this on bottom for now. Alright, well, we can't afford to really take another point or another 6-pointer, so we're going to go ahead and do this and just really hope that he doesn't follow up with a Scarab God, because that would be worst case scenario. If he just plays like a bunch of little dudes or something, that's fine. But the Scarab God would be a bit of a threat. That's kind of an interesting turn as well. Of Supreme Will, which can still get the biggest threats. We can play this thing, which is okay, and it leaves up Supreme Will, but I'd rather Glimmer. Oh, we don't want Outer Land. Go ahead and opt. That was a good draw. So, what do we want to do this turn? Probably Supreme Will and do this, so it's probably a turn that we can do this. He seems to have hit F6 again already. So try to prevent the 3 damage here. He may be able to resolve a Scarab God or something, but we do have a cast out, and he doesn't get a trigger, so he's going to hostage take to get this back, which is fine. Frames aren't doing well this morning. So, what do we want to do now? Probably cycle this thing. I don't think the cast out matters, but. Or, sorry, I don't think the sensor matters any, but. So we're almost 30 cards deep and we've still not drawn an approach, which is really making me hate the fact that we cut approaches. Guess it's okay because we're still in reasonable shape, but like our opponent didn't draw very well. Didn't draw very well, and he's still very much in the game. Is this a giant walking ballista? This seems like something we should try to counterspell. It's like enough damage straight to our face that I don't really want it to resolve. And again, we've not really hit an approach now. Alright, team. We're running out of what you call the good stuff. So he's going to get to draw a card for 3 because we really need to use the Pharma Market. Don't really want to use the farm market there, but very much need the card. Well, might hit a Supreme Will. I would still Supreme Will that. It's a relevant enough spell that I'd Supreme Will it. Well, we didn't hit the Supreme Will, so now what? I guess we start with a Fumigate. Play the Fumigate first just in case he has a Spell Pierce. Alright, so what cards don't we need from here? Kinda want everything. So this is a bit of a bad sign. It's a lot less of a bad sign if that's his big finish. Oh yeah. Okay, we're not worried about those cards at all. We're worried about cards like Scarab God. So to let him draw one card, fine with that. We can like fumigate whatever he plays next turn, while still being around 9 points alive. And this gives us, if he doesn't draw his Scarab God, which I believe is typically a 1-of if he's playing like the Jessup build or whatever, then we get to go pretty far in our deck. We'll probably even use a cast out this turn. So to the bottom, that's 2 cards. That's 3 cards. I'm going to untap, and this is the 4th card. This is 5th card. So we know we draw an Ascant, or we know we draw to approach next turn. But we had to go super far in our deck, but we did get there. And we knew we were drawing an approach. So sideboarding versus these decks. Sideboarding versus these decks is a little awkward because you never know if they have Lost Legacy. Bringing in the cats is super bad versus Scarab God. Bringing in Torrential Gearhulks is super bad because of Scarab God. Them being able to like buy back our Gearhulk and counterspell our Wrath is ridiculous. It's like just plumb ridiculous. But for the most part, I think we're actually able to win post board games without casting the approaches. Now that may be wrong to think of, but I feel like we want every card in our deck right now. Supreme Wills seem like they're the least impactful. Sail to Wreckage seems okay. They do have a bunch of 2-drops. They also have Spell Pierces and Negates. Ascanthus seem okay. In all honesty, the sensors don't seem particularly good. They're going to play around the sensor most of the time, and it's mostly going to be cycled. I like them a little bit better on the play, but Nassif is in the never side no mount camp, and I typically tend to do whatever Nassif said. But um, out of the pure wanting to experiment, we're going to try to take a couple of them out here. Thinking about taking a couple of the Supreme Wills out as well. Just want more of our spells that can interact early. Maybe the Settle Wreckage can go out. Let's try this. I really don't view us as a control deck. I view us as we're trying to stall. This hand doesn't seem like it stalls very well. Alright, so this hand seems great. You'll probably have to fade one of their... Probably gonna have to fade like one of their negates and or duresses and or spell piercers or whatever. Whatever thing they have, we probably are gonna have to fade it to try to get this turn 5 fumigate. Well, that's unfortunate. They floated a black mana and they played an Attune, so that means the Search for Azcanta is probably going to our graveyard. Or he just mistapped mana. Or misclicked the wrong card. Who knows? I'll probably bring the sensors back in on the play because counting a Longtusk Cub on 2 or a Whirler on 3 seems pretty good. Sup, Dan? What are you into today? Just getting home or just getting ready to go? Irrigated farmland to the graveyard? Sure. We have 3 lands already, or 4 lands already, so. It's kind of interesting that he left a green instead of a blue up there, so he's like clearly bluffing or representing defense grid more than he's representing spell pierce. Or not defense grid, but blossoming defense more than he was spell pierce. Same thing here, like he could have left a blue up, and he's specifically not leaving a blue up, so I have to assume he just doesn't even have the spell pierce in that spot. Glacial Fortress for the graveyard? Why, yes. You got a long week ahead? You playing Friday? Rogue Refiners, I believe, are also good enough to counterspell, but in that regard, we also have a Fumigate, but I believe overall they're good enough to counterspell because they replace themselves. I'm also actively looking to put cards in my graveyard because of the Azcanta. Torrential Gearhulk to the graveyard. I don't think we'll put that one in the graveyard. Nice, nice. Is Heather playing as well? So he's got a nice little Gante here. Again, he did not hold up counterspell mana, so that's pretty good for us. Torrential Gearhulk in my graveyard? Nah, I guess we'll keep this one too. Since they play Duresses, I would like to go ahead and just get the Fumigate out of my hand and give them one last opportunity to draw a Duress. And hopefully one of our Gearhulks will be good next turn. So there's a Scarab God without protection mana this time. Which is kind of interesting. And it's kind of very bad for us. Hey, Total. Thanks for the massive host, man. Appreciate it. For anybody in here that cares, make sure you go to Total MTG. and follow his stream. He also has an epic YouTube channel. The guy's just very good at what he does. He's been playing a red-white prison deck lately. I think opponent still has the Blossoming Defense, but maybe I should have counterspelled it with the Gearhulk. I was kind of hoping he would attack in. But it looks like he's too smart for that. Yeah, I think it was probably a mistake me not countering the cast out. To be honest, I was a little distracted. But that's not an excuse. I think that's better than just a blank card, because it gets us another card deeper. This one's a little worse, probably, because we don't have 5 mana to continue to play the Caracal, but we're going to keep it too, because we're really just looking for a cast out. Alright, we'll put that one on bottom, finally. Seems like it worked out. We drew everything anyway. Not sure that I want to attack here. He's kind of like left Blossoming Defense up the entire game. Seems like a bad time to attack. Feel more confident attacking a turn that will have the other Torrential Gearhulk up. And I feel pretty far ahead right now too, so I don't feel like I need to push anything. Alright, I guess we'll attack this turn. We can counterspell one Blossoming Defense, so if he has multiple, we have kind of an issue. It's probably fine to counterspell that still, even though I don't really want to. Also, don't really want to get blown out by that Blossoming Defense. If he's got a second one, this is epically bad. I'm glad we played around the first one. He definitely had it the whole game. Well, he just has 2 and it doesn't matter. We were right to play around it when we did though. Hey Corey Coolcat, thanks for stopping by. You're here to watch us lose another sideboard game to these blue decks. Just playing versus Sultai Energy. So you can buy back a Winding Constrictor and get the Gante, which is pretty nice. So we really need a cast out. If you're asking about his cast out, he took our cast out with a Gante. So he scryed to the top. Can't imagine scrying any card to the top right now that's not exactly Fumigate, so. Or exactly Counterspell, so that's probably bad for us. Alright. Yep, figured he had exactly Negate. And now he's got Gearhulk and Negate. So this is what I was saying in the sideboarding plans, that like we get to these board states to when we bring in the creatures, we just automatically die. But like if we don't bring in the creatures and he has Lost Legacy, we can't win. So he's making that play. He probably has another Negate in his hand. But there's some chance that he doesn't have counter spells, and if he doesn't have counter spells, we can always just draw approach approach. But we're certainly running out of time to get to approach approach. Well, none of those do anything. Yeah, I'm hating the fact that we only have 3 approaches now. Put that on the bottom because he may not attack. So this game's pretty much locked up now. Like, we can't really win it now. We could probably Demonic Tutor from here and not win. The Scarab God's just taking over the game. As it often does. I'm starting to think bringing these creatures in versus these matches is just epically wrong. Maybe bringing in the cats isn't too bad because like him Scarab Godding a cat isn't horrible, but like him Scarab Godding a Gearhulk's just overpowered. Well, he tapped out this time, so I guess he doesn't have a counterspell. If he doesn't have a counterspell, we still have outs. That's not one of them. We've gone through over 30 cards too and not hit an approach. Me not Supreme Wheeling this cast out though is probably why we lost this game. It's most likely why we lost. Also, I played a land that turn that he'd already saw before, which was pretty bad of me. It's kind of odd. Seems like he could have took a lot better thing than that. Or he could have at least left a blue mana up. So we're dead next turn to 1, 2, 3, 4, potential 5 damage. So we need to at least gain some life. So I guess we just send 6 points into our doom. I do think the cats are fine. The fact that he has a torrential Gearhulk he can get back to get his negate back means this game's locked up. He just hasn't been leaving that up for some reason. I'm sure he'll leave it up the one turn that we draw whatever we draw, but he hasn't left it up at any point yet. Maybe he doesn't see the interaction? Yeah, he didn't leave it up again. It's kind of odd. Hey, Dumbo. What are you into today, bub? Huh? I guess we get to live another turn. I mean, we're dead. He's got this Gearhulk into this negate. Sure. Might as well keep both cats on defense still just so he can't buy them back. does give him the opportunity to like buy back this Gear Hulk and a Blossoming defense back, but oh, he just had a Blossoming defense from his hand. Now he has double Gear Hulk in his graveyard. Well, that's pretty overpowered. Guess we could have just jumped. Still can't beat this one Gear Hulk though. Maybe we should have never put this guy in combat. And he's got a Glimmer. Well, that's cute. Well, we're dead. Alright, we won't make him waste the time. Alright, so what can we do to beat this? Wait, not those two, sorry. These two. So we're just not going to be able to bring Torrential Gear Hulks in this match, I guess. Ever. The sensors seem better on the play. Maybe it's potential to bring a couple negates in. Just do without the cats altogether. See how that works out, maybe? Could just try without the cats. Didn't look like he was playing Lost Legacy. Everything looked like it was like the Tan and Grace build or whatever. Alright, let's try without cats. We're in a new day and age here, folks. Take care, Dan. Be safe, man. Don't hit a tree. Alright, this hand seems reasonable. We have double Fumigate, we have 2 lands, and we have a sensor. We actually have an approach in our hand. Unfortunately, the approach in our hand this early is kind of bad since they are a duress deck. Best draw would be just like untap draw Azcanta. And we could party like it's 1999. Well, that's not an Azcanta. It's also not a card draw spell, even though we left all the card draw spells in the deck. That card hits way too fast, way too quick to let stay in play. Very similarly speaking, that card seems like it's too powerful to leave around as well. Kind of like in this weird spot where I feel like I have to draw lands every turn. For like a lot of turns. And the negates aren't very good here. That's the reason I only brought 2 in, just we want to draw them super late. Winding Constrictor, sure. And now he has the Attune. Just pretty bad for us. We were kind of hoping he didn't have any more energy for black mana. But now he gets to go get a swamp and he gets to get energy, so like we don't really have a good play anymore. And we missed the land. Best of both worlds. No good plays and missed the land. Sure. I'm actually going to play this thing. This card's good enough that he might would use a negate on that, and then maybe we could untap and play the Fumigate. It was that or cycle it, and this might get a card out of his hand. But that worked out well. Now we just have to hope he doesn't follow it up with a Scarab God. And if he does follow it up with a Scarab God, we need to really hope that we draw one of our cast outs. Which, honest to God's only fair considering we run double the amount of cast outs as he does Scarab Gods. Like, that feels fair, right? But no, they always have cast out pretty well, or they always have Scarab God basically as soon as they can play it. No, Scarab God wins games. Can draw another Fumigate to stall or something. It seems okay. Like, I don't hate it. Yeah, well, that card doesn't do anything, so. Yeah, it's one of the better cards from all these energy decks. Though I believe this energy deck that our opponent's playing isn't particularly good. It is smashing us though, so maybe I shouldn't insult it. We played it and it didn't feel particularly good. So we can still draw like a Fumigate to get another turn. If we don't draw a Fumigate, we're probably dead because he will probably have a counterspell for another approach. Fumigate and Approach are the only two cards we want to draw, though. Well, that doesn't do it, so 13, he buys something back, and we're just dead. Eh. Opponent drew Scarab God, we couldn't interact with it. While playing a deck designed to interact with creatures. Happens. We'll save the time and just get into the next game. Been on a bit of a losing streak today. I think we're running particularly bad. So we're down to 25-7 now, I think. Actually, we're 24-7. I was counting wrong. I do think that I punted the one game that I used the cast out wrong. Like, that game is probably winnable. This hand's fine. It's just another, like, kind of like weird hand that doesn't do much, though. I've had quite a few of these weird hands tonight. I'm just hoping opponent's not on mono red with a hand like this. This approach deck's probably the best game one deck in the format. Still think Temur Energy's probably the best overall deck. And mono red's probably the easiest to build good deck. I would censor any 2-drop that he plays that can attack anyway. Especially the best 2-drop that can attack. The same as I would counterspell any 3-drop that he played here as well. Just trying to stall while we make land drops. So, for the people who was watching Total MTG stream, how'd it go today? How did the breakfast, I guess the breakfast hour? I think that's what it's called in his morning streams. Alright, well, hopefully this resolves. The second, oh, okay. Thought it was a spell pierce for a second. I was going to say the second deck in a row that has main deck counter spells, which is absolutely terrible for us, by the way. Probably going to cycle this farmland, so we'll just play the fortress. So this could be a Glorybringer. Oh wow, is that one? I guess we'll start with this. I don't think I would Supreme Will it even if we hit it, but still responding and responding and responding and responding. Opponent's currently missing a land drop, by the way, which means all of the cards in his hand are probably gas and or removal spells. Hopefully none of them are Chandra. We did just cycle a cast out that we probably didn't have to. Especially since we know for a fact that we were untapping to play Fumigate. So cycling that cast out at that turn was probably wrong. Because we could have cycled it this turn if we didn't need to cast out. Or if we didn't need it. So that was another small mistake. It's like 5 a.m. here and I'm apparently not playing very well at all. I'm apparently not playing very well at all this morning. I guess I don't want to take the damage. Nah, we'll take it. Hold up Supreme Will and Glimmer. See how many counter or how much energy he takes off of it. Go ahead and use the Glimmer during his main phase. Maybe that'll prompt him into playing something that he probably shouldn't play, but... And we'll cycle the Supreme Will, but we'll do it in the other phase. Well, the best card there seems to be Search for Azcanta. We'll have a Supreme Will. I think I'm just willing to let them resolve whatever they want to resolve next turn to get the Search for Azcanta online. The Settle to Wreckage gives me that kind of confidence. Their best play is Chandra, but they had a Chandra that would have probably played it already. So like their next best play is Glorybringer, and there's not a whole lot of things that lets him play a Glorybringer there. Fumigate's another good draw. We did put the 4 Fumigate on the bottom of the deck though, so cast out in the graveyard? Sure. We did put the 4 Fumigate on the bottom of the deck. But we still have this one Settle to Wreckage. And a lot of life to work with, and now we have an Azcanta as well. Yeah, I am absolutely hating this number of, approaches. So if we put this on top, we have access to using the Azcanta if he doesn't have a good play. Or we have a Supreme Will as well. But it might help us get to the approach quicker. I think that's one of the reasons that we struggled so hard last round. Just finding the approaches game 2 and 3 was crushing us. Jim Davis and those guys even played less Supreme Wills to like look for them. Nope, we'll keep that. He saw the approach from Azcanta, and he's done with game 1. Alright, so game 2. Again, we don't really know if he's on... Don't really know which build of the deck he's on. But, in general, the Regal Caracals are fairly decent in this match, and the Jace is fairly decent in this match as well. The Jace counters Whirler Virtuosos, Rogue Refiners, Scarab Gods, Negate, Spell Pierces. The cats probably aren't great. The Supreme Wills don't feel great on the draw, but they're like, okay. The Meltdowns are also pretty decent. I'm going to try to cut something like this time. Cutting the Ops feels wrong, though. Don't really want to cut the Settle to Wreckage either. Maybe the cats just ain't worth it. Maybe we can just play a game to try to resolve the approach, but that like feels pretty narrow. Feels kind of narrow to constantly try to just resolve approach. Where did our Jace go? Oh, there it is. Couldn't find our Jace for a second. Let's try this. If we're playing this build, let's just try not to bring in the cats until we see a little more information on whether he has Scarab God or not, I guess. The cats are also bad versus Glorybringer and Chandra. Hey, we drew an approach. Yeah, I'm not actually comfortable with this build that we're testing. I don't know if anybody's noticed that, but like the sideboarding feels awkward and how we're playing feels awkward. Whereas usually I'm exceptionally comfortable with this deck. Like we've played hundreds of matches with this deck, but like we're trying something new and it just feels off. Longtusk Cubs, brutal. Second approach is kind of nice. All we have to do now is get to later in the game, and maybe we can win a war for a counterspell or something. Maybe we can draw a meltdown or something. That's fine. Let's start with this thing. We'll leave that on top. But yeah, he gets to attack pretty hard pretty fast. This is the type of game that if he has a negate, I don't think we will win. If he doesn't have a negate, I feel like we still have a chance. We could maybe draw like Settle the Wreckage into Fumigate and have a chance as well. Well, he didn't play a 4-drop. Alright, well, there's a Settle the Wreckage. That potentially gives us a chance. Depends a lot on what's in his hand. It's kind of interesting as well, the pharma market. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 would put us at 4 if we just take it, so we probably can't just take it. It's kind of interesting that he left that one back that time. Maybe he's wanting to cast something post-combat? Wanted to play a Bristling Hydra around a Sensor or something? Or hold up Spell Pierce, maybe? Ooh, that's a nice one. And we top decked pretty good there. So we got a little lucky in that spot. Hey, we're up to 11 viewers. Wonder who else is streaming. I didn't even look. So led with green green. This is probably a Hydra. Nobody that I really follow is. Well, we can't really interact with that. We play the farm to get it out of our hand, maybe? Just so we have the opportunity to mark it next turn if we want. It's probably not worth it. See whether we hit a land or not. Well, we hit a land, so we're definitely not playing it now. We know what we're casting probably over the next 2 turns. It may be good enough. Really depends on what's in his hand. If he's got double negate or like double spell pierce or something, it's not good enough. If he's got Glorybringer, it's not good enough. We're just add the Glorybringer as well. Yeah, so it wasn't a Glorybringer. Hmm. I guess we have one extra mana, so we can try to cycle for a Fumigate. If we hit a Fumigate, we can play the Fumigate with the Jace's Defeat up. Is that right? Well, we can't survive another turn, so we don't really have an option. But where he counterspelled the first one, he almost assuredly can counterspell the second one. And if he draws double negate in the top 15 cards, we obviously lose. Well, he did not have it, so that's great. So now we're actually 25-7. We're back to 2-2 versus Temur Energy. Right now we're losing versus the energy decks and losing versus mono red and like beating literal everything else. I gotta try to improve these matches. Like the Jabberwocky build of the deck the other day had 4 negates and 4 spell pierces in the sideboard, and we just can't beat that. It's pretty easy to beat exactly 1 negate, but it's really hard to beat 2 counter spells from an aggressive deck in their top 15 to 20 cards. But anyway, for the 13 of you, if you are enjoying what you're seeing, make sure to follow and make sure to click the links below the stream. You'll see a link to my Twitter where you'll see every time I go live, all the deck lists I play, and also a link to my YouTube where all of our streams get posted. And if you happen to be watching from the YouTube, in the description below the video is a link to both this Twitch channel, our Twitter, and every deck list. I actually don't think I updated the deck list today either, so let's check that out while we're on it. No, I don't think I checked. Yeah, I did not update the deck list. Well, updated one of them. Alright. We'll keep this hand while I'm updating the other deck list. I knew I was forgetting something. I always feel like I'm forgetting something every morning. Alright, both deck lists are officially updated. Get the donator banner back up. Remember, we have to thank stream manager Corey Coolcat for the donator links. We appreciate it, Corey. He's responsible for all the graphics and the emotes and everything on our channel. If it wasn't for Corey, we couldn't do what we do. Fumigate's probably something that we're going to need to keep. Well, we don't have a counterspell, so might as well play best card. Gotta make sure to log on Facebook and let Corey know that I just advertised for him. Why is Friday Night Magic this week going to be miserable? Do you even get to go? What's going to be so miserable about the magics of Friday? I will literally put any non-land card in the graveyard right now. Yes, we'll put that in the graveyard. What cute. What cute, friends. What cute. I don't think everybody's going to be on blue-white. James traded a lot of his blue-white cards. Ricky may be on it. I don't think me and Sean are going to be on it. I have no plans of playing it. Sean has no plans of playing it, I don't think. Well, in fairness, me and Sean haven't talked, but I assume Sean's just going to play whatever I want to play. Right, we're going to start with the opt. We're just looking for a land, and I'd rather keep the Supreme Will. Again, I'll put any card into the graveyard that's not a land this turn. Do I want to put a Fumigate in the graveyard? Yes, I'll still put a Fumigate in the graveyard. So I think there'll be maybe Daniel, but Daniel's not really a best deck type of guy either. So I think there'll be one blue-white deck in the room. George, if George comes, there'll be two, but I don't think George is going to come either. He said he's like preparing for nationals. I might just play mono red. It's the only deck I seem to be able to build. I only own 2 hostage takers, so I don't have that many options. Um, I guess we'll start with the opt. I'll certainly put that on the bottom. There's an approach. Alright, we'll counterspell it anyway. Don't really want to take any damage, and I feel like he's got a bunch of things like that in his hand, so I think he's going to be doing it a lot over the next several turns. Censor goes to the graveyard. Why, yes, and it lets us flip the Azcanta, which gives us a blatant land in that regard. We have Glimmer, and we have Cast Out. That's better than playing the farm market. It's kind of cool that the farm market and the Glimmer are going to play so well together here. I guess that still resolves. Again, I don't really want to take the damage. That's probably fine too if we're just casting Approach on the following turn. Yeah, it's fine too if we're just playing Approach. If we don't play Approach, we're going to cut ourselves. Yeah. Process of cutting ourselves. Rip. We do get to gain the two of the life back though. Oh. Well, we just get to do this instead then. Back to 20. They have main deck counter spells that would suck, but we have about a billion Fumigate, so it depends on what their mana situation looks like next turn on what we'll do. I like how we drew all 3 Fumigates and didn't even cast one. Hey, what's up, Chris? What are you into, Brother Bear? It'd be nice if we played a 3-drop for us here, so like we wouldn't have to do any stressing or thinking or anything. Don't think they would run the Gates main deck if they ran anything main deck at all. I think it would be Spell Pierce. So I think it's just safer to go ahead and play a Cast Out here, or play a Fumigate here. They have Negate, they have Negate. But it gets a Negate out of their hand at least. So they have Lightning Strike. Okay. Back to 14. If they had Negate, we still wasn't dead, even if they had a Glorybringer. Alright, well, we win. Opponent's tapped out. Hey, I assumed you'd already be in bed. You are a working man. You're too busy living to be playing the Magics. Or watching the Magics. Okay, so how are we going to sideboard this time? We just played this match, and we sideboarded in a manner where we brought in these 3 cards. But I don't know that I want to blatantly bring in these 3 cards every match. Like, I'm kind of like testing and toying around a little bit. Like, I don't actually know what's good and what's not yet. So, like, kind of experimenting. So I think this time we're probably just not going to bring the negates in. Just bring in like 1 defeat and take out an opt. And continue back down this plan. Again, I don't really want to bring in the Gearhulks, even though the Gearhulks are amazing in this match, for the simple fact of I'm afraid of them Scarab Gutting my Gearhulk to get extra negates out of their deck. Alright, so we'll keep. We've drawn an approach again, which is wonderful, and now we have an Effort Meltdown to answer a turn 2 Longtusk Cub, and we have a double counter spell. So we have effectively, as long as we draw lands, roughly the best draw we can get. The only thing that would be better is like maybe an Azcanta, but like an Azcanta if he was playing a what you call it? If he was playing anything but a Longtusk Cub on turn 2. Alright. So this hand, like I said, it's very good. Hopefully this is Rogue Refiner and not Whirler Virtuoso, as we already have an answer to Rogue Refiner in hand. He did mulligan though, so him not getting a card back's kind of nice. And we do have a Fumigate for this later. We do have double Supreme Will, so we're good for his next couple threats. But the Rogue Refiner could still just win a game at some point from ambient energy, like if he has a counter spell for the Fumigate later. Oh, that reminds me. Did you guys see that we lost to an opponent who mulliganed to 3 earlier when we had a very good hand? It was a mono red player that went turn 1, or sorry, we went turn 1 authority, turn 2 authority, sorry, turn 1 authority, turn 2 censor, turn 3 authority, and it still wasn't good enough to beat them. But we have our land drops, so yeah, we were a little disgruntled, a little sad. It's kind of an interesting card. Makes his negates much better. I guess we just take this. He's starting to attack for 4 turn, like he's getting there. He's not attacking with the Servant of Conduit this time. That's kind of interesting. That is very interesting. We've been selling every chest that we do 4-1 or better, opening every chest that we do 3-2. Kind of like, if we're doing bad enough to 3-2, we got to punish ourselves anyway by making us open those filthy chests. Alright, well, we'll go ahead and kill this one. Yeah, the Teamer deck's a 4-color deck. It's really the only popular 4-color deck. It's pretty good, though. Alright, so we'll probably cycle one of these now. Settle to Wreckage, search for Azcanta, and a Fumigate. Uh... I guess the Fumigate gives us 2 turns if he hits a Scarab God. Because we can just like Fumigate, if he counterspells it, Fumigate again. But that's a good card too. So hopefully this resolves because we go to 19. Wow, he'd F6. He wasn't even considering counterspelling that. Was not even considering counterspelling it. Move this over here. You guys don't need to see this. Yeah, so it's a Bristling Hydra. So we're pretty happy we kept the second Fumigate now. I guess we just go for it. Feels fine just to go for it. He has to have a counterspell. Even if he does have a counterspell, we don't lose. He has to draw like another counterspell. This is another reason that I don't really like going down to 3 approaches. Like, this happens a non-zero amount of the time. It actually happens a fairly large amount of the time that we can play double approach. Alright, so we beat another Teamer player who had a bad draw. So we're up to 3-2 versus Teamer now. These farm to markets haven't felt very good, have they? Like, Gideon just feels better than these farm to markets, doesn't it? We have to do some more testing with it. I'm curious how it works in a few other matches, but for the most part, the Gideons felt better than these. Oh wow, I don't know what I clicked, but my computer just got mad at me. Hey, we're playing versus a pretty good player here. It's always kind of interesting when you get paired versus a solid player, a guy's name whom you recognize. Especially because it's kind of like when you're playing in a. I don't know how I'm trying to phrase it. It's kind of like when you're playing in a tournament setting. You know, like you're playing a paper tournament, and you look at the top tables, and you have like a little information on what they typically play or what they are playing. This hand's pretty solid. So it always feels good to do that. Anyway, he is known for playing aggressive decks like Burning Legacy, and um he used to play like Four Color Rights. He played Crom and Timna in uh Commander. So basically you could expect like mono red, or this could be like the black red deck from what's his name, Megaphone or something. But this is like typically what you would the types of decks you would put him on. Hey, Serlene? I'll say that's your name, Serlene. This is not a friendly league, Dumbo. This is a competitive league. And we're getting dumpstered right now. Fumigate to the graveyard. Yes, I think? Wow. So he just gets to smack us again for 10. We're down to 3 already. Yeah, that's probably the best 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop in the entire format. That's a heck of a hand. And the beauty about how good that hand is next turn he doesn't have to attack with everything, and he can play around Settle to wreckage some. Yeah, that was wonderful. If he has like a duress or something, the game's just over as well. Well, he has to at least attack with 2 lethal threats, though, because we have to cast out and we can just like hooey booey 1 lethal threat. So if he's attacking with 3 things, we kind of have to settle. Really? Do you have? I know it's for your nationals, and I don't want you to give away any like secret information for your nationals or anything. But do you have a list or anything that we can look at to see your list, or is that confidential? We've been tuning this list for a while. Today we're just testing out a few things. We've tried 3 different builds today, just testing out just a couple of different things, seeing how we like them and how we don't. Um, but I'm always curious to see other lists and more informations. And thank you very much for the follow on top of that. So this is kind of interesting now. So do we want to put an opt in our graveyard? Probably, for the simple fact that we know what we're using our mana for this turn. So this is a little brutal here. We're going to take a minimum of 3 damage back again next turn. We may not actually have an out now, depending on what his hand is. I mean, obviously we can beat the board and we can beat his graveyard, but I'm just trying to think worst case scenario. I've kind of trained myself always to try to think worst case scenario. Like, what could he have that kills me, you know? So what do we got here? An approach of the second son's in the graveyard. I don't believe we want to put that in the graveyard. I think we'll keep this one. And we should be able to approach again next turn if we choose. Which we'll probably choose to, obviously, but should give us a little bit of a life cushion. It does kind of suck that we'll be using farm instead of a cast out to flip the Azcanta for the approach, but I think it's better to guarantee that we can play an approach and gain 9 life next turn. So now he's trying to decide whether he's just going to attack with 1 threat or not, because he's already saw that we do play Settle. I believe he chose the correct attack. So this one in theory keeps us alive. Gideon we tried earlier. We liked Gideon. We like Gideon more than Pharma Market, I think. That's fair. Well, I don't think the Scavenging Grounds is ever like completely dead. Like it's good versus all of the Scarab God decks. Alright, so do we want to cycle this cast out? I feel like there's a chance that we'll get to play this cast out again if we want, but if we cycle it and like there's an approach on top of our deck, we get to keep it. I believe we want this cast out though. So whatever it is going straight to the bottom, it doesn't matter. And we 100% want to flip because of the approach of the second son. So we get us a nice little life cushion here. And we try to figure out how to survive the next several turns. We have a cast out and a Supreme Will, which they don't really play well together when we only have 7 mana. Okay, he just conceded? That's kind of interesting. I guess that he just had nothing in his hand. I believe I like Gideon more than... Well, this is our current build. And I believe that I want to replace these with Gideon. And I kind of want a 4th approach in the deck. Playing 3 approaches has felt very, very bad. We normally play 4 approaches. And I think we definitely want the 3rd one back. But the Pharma Markets haven't impressed. Like, Gideon's felt a lot better than Pharma Market. I'm trying 3 effort meltdowns based on Jim Davis's list as well. That's actually felt kind of fine. There's not a whole lot of aggro decks. Alright, so anyway, versus this opponent, he seems to be playing the mono black aggro deck. I do not know if he has the red splash. If he has the red splash for Hazards and stuff, then I would want the authority. But he played about 9 million swamps, so I'm assuming he doesn't have that splash. And if he doesn't have that splash, we can just like bring in the Regal Caracals and try to slow the game down in that manner. I don't think we need the I don't think we need a Torrential Gearhulks, but the Torrential Gearhulks actually kind of play well with the Pharma Market, which is one of the very, very cool things about the deck. But if we're on the play, we might try the Gearhulks. But I don't think I want them. And for the last 2 cards that we're going to sideboard out, it's probably 2 ops on the draw. It's probably 2 Supreme Wills on the play, give or take, somewhere in that area. I'm not even sure if ops should be in the deck. It seems like everybody's blatantly playing opt, but Gabriel Nassif, who is an infinitely better player than me, isn't 100% sure about the ops. So we've been sideboarding a few out kind of for science. We cut down to 2 earlier today, and the deck felt absolutely miserable, though. So So I know we want at least some. My League of Legends duo partner's on. Does that mean the stream gets cut short and I get to go play League of Legends? Or do I keep playing the Magic? That hand seems fine. We'll keep it. It's a little slow. Those cards are pretty good. Those cards are even good with a meltdown on them. Opponent could have Lost Legacy too. What rank am I in League of Legends? I don't really play ranked. Ranked adds an amount of stress to the game that just makes me mad. I'm currently setting at Gold 3 though. I only do promos to try to get the skins because I love skins. So I got Gold 3 out of promos this season, which was a little bad, but I didn't do very good in the promos. I only went 6 and 4. But I haven't played any ranked games other than that. So I'd much rather Effer Meltdown an Emmet than a Glint. So I think I'm willing to take 2 this turn. Opponent has another good start though. What rank are you? I'm not a particularly good player. I'm like very average. At least I think I'm very average. That's kind of a good draw in a way. If we can get that far anyway. I mostly play support, but I've recently been trying to learn the top lane a little bit. Galio, Malcal looked so fun at Worlds that I had to start trying them. And this is a very fast clock. And opponents ahead on card advantage as well. With Supreme Will anything that we can Supreme Will here. Ooh, that's a good one. Hmm. So what is our best draws? We're certainly going to cast out something. Guess we're going to cast out the Glint. Just to try to avoid him from attacking again next turn. Still on a 2-turn clock though. One turn clock if he can add anything relevant to the board. That's a good one. Alright, so we are dead on board, so we have to cycle and try to hit a meltdown or a market to get another turn. Neither of those are a meltdown or a market. Could have left all 4 up too and just bluffed a settled wreckage, I guess. But when we actually had outs to the board, I don't think it was worth bluffing a spell at all. And we're dead. Go ahead and let it kill us. I don't want to hit the concede button too. Who knows? Like, Moto could be bugged and it could make us concede game 3. Alright, so let's throw these over here for now. and kind of want a little more interaction than what we have. I believe that the torrential gearhulks are fine, but I wonder if the authority of the councils are fine. Like, he is kind of just like an all-in aggro deck, right? If he's an all-in aggro deck, the authorities do seem fine, and we just like take out some of the Supreme Wills and some of the Glimmers because we probably don't have enough time to cast the Glimmers. In fact, the Glimmers may just be worse than the Ops in general. So if the Glimmers are worse than Ops, what will we cut for the authorities? To just try to gain some early life to live a little longer. Maybe the Gearhulks aren't good enough? The Gearhulks play well with Settle to Wreckage and with Farm. Kind of want the Gearhulks. Kind of feel like the Gearhulks are pretty good here. Yeah, let's try this. I'm not sure if this is right. The authority of the councils doesn't feel correct in this match, but... Well, that hand's clearly bad. That hand's not very good either, but I believe it's a keep. Starting the game on turn 4's probably not good enough versus them. Failure and Comply feels like it's pretty good in the mirror match, but I don't think it's needed in the mirror match. I think I would rather just have more Azcanthus for a mirror. If we're taking the time to play authority, we probably want them all, right? Like, we want to guarantee that we draw one and we only have a 44% to draw one early. If we don't, rip. This is looking bad. Don't really want to draw these approaches because he's probably going to have Duresses and Lost Legacies. See if we can find a counterspell, I guess. Oh, we found one. We just can't use it anymore. It's kind of interesting. So we're not in the greatest of shape here. Maybe if we draw 3 lands running, it might be good enough. But he does have us on a 3-turn clock. We have to hit an untapped land this turn pretty hard. That's not an untapped land. So maybe these authorities were just bad. These authorities could have been like Supreme Wills or Glimmers. They did gain us a little life, but like, they didn't gain us enough life to matter. Yeah, it didn't feel right when we brought him in, but it's kind of interesting that he's just attacking all of them in the settle, but still think we have a decent chance if we just draw an untapped land. One time untapped land. That's not an untapped land, and we're dead. Well, that was miserable. Feels like fate's not on our side sometimes. I feel like a pretty solid favorite in that match. So we're playing the last match to try to get a pity chest. So where did we go wrong? Was the 40s that bad? What would the 4 40s have been? They would have been like 2 Supreme Wills, 2 Glimmers, or maybe all 4 Supreme Wills? Supreme Will probably wouldn't have saved us that game either because we'd have probably just counterspelled the creature. Sure, hit it up. Ask anything you want. Well, I go send my buddy Al a message. Why am I so terrible at drawing? Yeah, like, they were fine. They would have been exceptionally good if we did a fifth land, probably, but I don't. I don't know if they were better just having a Supreme Will. The Supreme Will would have probably gained me 3 life, but like, I guess it would have gained me like probably 6 life. Because the turn that we cycled the cast out, we would have been able to counterspell the Scrap Heap Scrounger, and it wouldn't have got the next 2 attacks. We ended the game at 6 life, but we gained 2 life off of the last thing, so we might have been like 4 life still. Anyway, if we play that match again, I don't think I'll bring the 40s back in. Alright, so we are 2-2 playing for a PD chest, and our opponent is 0-2. I think we have to mulligan this. This hand seems fine. Maybe we'll draw some lands this game. I don't really want to put an approach on the bottom ever, but I feel like we have to. There's only 3 approaches in this build of the deck, though, so like anytime that I have to put an approach on the bottom, I feel absolutely miserable. And he has best draw. Alright, well, let's start with an opt. So this thing right here can put some serious pressure on us. So in our 4 rounds, we're going to get paired versus 3 energy decks. Or sorry, 4 energy decks and 1 mono black aggro deck. That doesn't feel like a very good sampling of decks. Also feels like we might not have enough turns to get to this Fumigate. Like he's attacking for 5, us down to 13. I guess we'll probably get to the Fumigate. Opponent's mana screwed too. Farming Market, that's probably good enough to keep, just in case they're playing like Spell Pierce or something. Or like Blossoming Defense would be bad, I guess, but so he's giving that one to toughness. Alright. We'll attempt to kill it and see if we get Blossoming Defense for a bundle. Yep, Blossoming Defense for a bundle online. So we're down to 4? Ooh. That's precarious. So if they have that one of Spell Pierce and it's in their hand, then we lose. If not, we have a chance. Especially if they're mana screwed, we have a chance. Well, they're obviously not mana screwed now. Rip. Land? Alright, that's a land. That's pretty nice. Now we can play this second farm and hold up Supreme Will for the next threat. Yes, to me it feels like it's lost an incredible amount. Some people would say it doesn't. I've heard some people say the deck's a lot better now than it was before, but I think the deck's actually considerably worse. I think people before just weren't playing the deck as much or testing the deck as much and didn't quite realize that the deck is currently worse. I mean, the deck's still good. but I think it's just taking advantage of the meta right now. I don't think it's as good as it was. So I guess we can keep one island just so we can cast a farm, but that doesn't really feel very good. Does let us get to see the most amount of cards though. It's kind of interesting. I guess we'll get rid of a Glimmer. We already have a second farm, so. Zelda Wreckage has not felt very good at all. So if he just has like Glorybringer, we're dead. Alright, thank God, not Glorybringer. Just something that can kill me just as easily. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So no matter what, we can tap all of these and still Supreme Will on the next turn. Yeah, so I guess we'll start with an Opt. There's an Approach. That's kind of interesting. Approach feels like the right play here. Feels like it gives us a 2 turns no matter what, because like he might play one thing that act. Oh God. Yep. Well, we're just dead. They have the really bad Ronus in their main deck, and there's nothing we can do to beat it. It's just like stone, nothing we can do to beat it. I guess we can Glimmer into a cast out and pray that's enough. Maybe hit a Settle the Wreckage. It's kind of unfortunate that we're going to lose this game. Yep. We just lost a game that felt unlosable. Because our opponent played this thing, which I think's unplayable. And maybe it's not unplayable, but it certainly feels unplayable to me. That's another one of those games that if we had 4 approaches, I feel like we would have won, because we went pretty far in our deck. I don't want to bring in the Gearhulks because I'm afraid of... I'm pretty afraid of a lot of things. Like, what you call it? I don't know what you call them. Pretty afraid of Scarab Gods. That's what you call it. Anyway, I think we're just going to run it like this. We used to bring in Regal Caracals every time in these matches, but I'm finding more and more that I feel like I don't need them to win the match. I feel like they're just getting in the way right now where so many people are playing Scarab Gods. I only had everything that last game. Blossomy Defense, a Ronus, and a Vehicle. Like, just very hard cards for us to interact with. We'll leave a Censor on top. Counterspelling a Longtusk Cub on 2's pretty relevant. Especially when we know that they have Blossoming Defense, which is another thing that makes Market considerably worse than Gideon. The fact that we're like getting ready to untap and we can't even put this in our graveyard this turn, like accentuates why it's so much worse than Gideon. We did get our best card in play though. I guess that's something. Fumigate in their graveyard? Probably not. We probably need it. So opponent just scooped this game. That's kind of weird. Like I didn't feel like I was in a very good spot. By the way, thank you for following as Azora Hop. We appreciate it, man. I didn't feel like I was in a great spot this game. Alright, let's think about sideboarding a little bit more. Like, the Caracols are actually incredibly good, but they don't play well versus Glorybringer. They don't play well versus Skyship. And we know he kept both of those in his deck. They are decent versus Ronus, but not great. They can, like, block it a few turns while the other things are killing me. What doesn't feel good, though? These farming markets don't feel that good. Search for Azcanta still feel pretty fine. Jace's Defeat still feels pretty fine. It would just be Ops if I'm sideboarding anything out. I don't really feel like I want to sideboard Ops out. I do want to try the Cats again, though. I feel like everything else in the deck's kind of needed. I like how I normally sideboard out an approach in this match, yet this match still feels worse for some reason when we don't have this approach. Alright, well this hand seems terrible, so I think we have to keep it anyway though. We do have a Supreme Will for like a Bristling Hydra or something if they don't have a Servant. We have one card that we can cycle. We're kind of like drawing live to Ephraim Meltdowns and stuff. Right on time, search for Azcanta when we can't play you. Right on time, friend. I wouldn't play anything that we need to counterspell this turn if I was him. I would wait until next turn because if he plays something next turn that we need to counterspell, he can make us not get to cast Glimmer. And keeping us off Glimmers always feels like the most important thing their deck can do. The fact that he went and got a Mountain a while ago tends to make me think he has a Glorybringer or a Chandra in hand. One of those cards is pretty hard for us to beat right now. Either of those cards is kind of pretty hard for us to beat. So he's going to negate this one? It's kind of interesting. That means he's going to have a good follow-up for Fumigate, I guess. Sure. Alright. That's pretty good here. Can't attack with this or we get a 3 block and gain 2 life, which is insanely good for us. I guess we'll start with a cycle to see if we hit a Settle to Wreckage. We did not hit a Settle to Wreckage. So now we have to try to survive this turn somehow. And that's not very easy to do. You just have like a million things that kill us right now. Well, that's not one of the million things that kill us. A negate kills us pretty hard. We can draw our own Jace's defeat, I guess. Articuno probably kills us as well. Somehow. I don't exactly know how it kills us, but it probably kills us. Alright, so now we're just looking for a Jace's defeat or a Censor. Snap put that into the grave. Alright. Well, I guess we'll attack and cushion our life total a little bit. Attacking gains us more life than just casting the Fumigate, even if he just chumps. And if he's got a negate, we lose. Not a negate. Well, we're not dead. We're back to 12. They never got the swamp yet, so they probably still don't have... They probably still don't have Scarab Gods in their deck, which makes us very sad that we no longer have, or that we don't have what you call it in our deck. So how many cards do we have in our graveyard? We have 7 in our graveyard. Irrigated Farmland definitely goes to our graveyard. Well, that's not good. We're dead on board, right? No, we're not dead on board. We're dead on board to even Harness Lightning if he'd left a red untapped. We couldn't leave a red untapped, I guess. Alright, what do we draw? A Glimmer. That's probably not going to do it. Alright. Well, let's see if we survive another turn. Can Inferi attack us for 6? Ronus kills us. Glorybringer kills us. Virtus Gearhulk would have killed us. Now they have 2 cards in their hand. Snap, put that on the bottom maybe? What do we got? So we have 5, 6, plus 3. We can technically cast both things. We don't beat a negate no matter what, right? So if we don't beat a negate no matter what, what's the plan? It's kind of interesting. So you can play both spells, but we still die to negate. We die to negate either way, though. If we die to negate either way, it's probably better just to play this one. Unfortunately, we're 1 mana shy on casting this. Opponent doesn't seem to have negate. Well, if he had a negate, he would have. I think he would have just won. I don't think there's any reason to play it the other way. So what do we got looking at us now? We can... So, 3 lands for that. 1, 2, 3 lands for one. 1, 2, 3, 4 lands for another. So if I play the land, I am able to... What 2 cards do we want the least? I guess we want this and this the least. We're hopefully going to be trying to win next turn. That was a play, but that still gives them a chance to like draw something or play something post-combat. That would have been very good versus this as well. Alright, well, we're not dead on board. If they have negate, they really can't negate this, which is nice. Hey, Atrocity. Welcome back, man. You in the mood for some League of Legends this morning? If so, I'm about 1 turn from being done with my stream. Give or take, possibly 1 turn from being done with the stream. So I tap my mana slightly better. You're tired? It's too early to be tired. Alright, do they have the negate now? They have the negate now. We'll have a meltdown for a haste threat, which is nice. Alright, he just scooped. He probably shouldn't have scooped that game. I would have liked to continue playing that game. And Moto's not going to let us draw our cards. So, we won 1 treasure chest and our ticks back. So, let's open our $2.40 treasure chest because we failed and went 3-2. Let's see what we did. Looks like we turned $2.40 into absolute nothing. Up to 27-8 with the deck. Beat another teamer player who scooped 2 games that they probably shouldn't have scooped. Probably shouldn't have scooped either of those games, so it's kind of like hard to count that into the equation. Man, we're tanking pretty hard. We're like down to 1840 when we were 1910. So what did we like about this deck? Nothing really. We want the 4th approach, and we kind of want Gideons over these. Let's see who they are to host. Bronson's playing limited. He would normally get the host. Atrocity's not online, so we can't host him. This guy's playing Esper Godpharaoh's Gift. That seems like it's reasonable. Oh, Standard Energy and Standard League. Here we go. That's the deck that just wanted to open, so people are probably more interested in watching him. Anyway, so we played versus 1 Sultai Energy, 3 Teamer Energy matches, and 1 Mono Black Aggro this league. We beat the 3 Teamer matches. We lost to the other 2 matches. The farming markets didn't impress. Having just 3 Effort Meltdowns felt fine, but like, I don't know if I like it. The 4 ops were good, but I can't tell if they're better than Illumination. Having just 3 approaches felt miserable. Like, that feels like a huge, huge mistake. And so that's going to be it for us for today. I appreciate you guys coming out, and I'm going to host this other standard Magic player. Then I'm going to go play some League of Legends, even though Al's a big baby and going to go get on his bed. Anyway, talk to you all later, and thank you for stopping by. Thank you for the new follows.